Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Golden Triangle Asian Elephant Foundation Elephant Professional Lecture here on a Wednesday afternoon, as usual, in the bar of the Anantara Golden Triangle. Unfortunately, not yet serving beer, but I'm still here and happy to be talking about elephants and their beautiful surroundings. Today's professional is Sean Hensman, who is with Adventures with Elephants in South Africa. Of all of our professional lecturers, he's the one I know least about. I first heard about him actually when we were talking to one of our upcoming lecturers who was going to be talking about elephant trunk and how it works as a hydrostat, whatever that may mean. And the work was done at Sean's place, and Sean was one of the co-authors on the paper. So we got talking, and I said, you've got to come and give an elephant professional lecture and tell us how you do your research and how you look after your elephants across there in South Africa. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Sean, and he will tell you exactly what he does. Sean, over to you.
Thanks, John. Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity to present to everyone on that side. I hope everyone's keeping well and keeping safe in COVID. So as John said, my name is Sean Hensman. I'm from an organization called Adventures with Elephants, based in Bela, which is just north of Johannesburg in South Africa. The internet connection is unstable. We're stuck right out in the bush, which is lovely. And then we also have an elephant research. We called it the Rory Hensman Conservation and Research Unit, which is our elephant research and conservation aspect of what we do at Adventures with Elephants. But today, basically, I'll be talking about how we're trying to give back and a little bit about us as a family, as we've grown up with elephants, and then just what we're trying to do to give back and understand elephants better. Yeah, I'm better at question and answering questions and answers. So if yeah, this might be a bit of a short presentation, but we'll stick around for the questions and things at the end. So next slide. I don't know how this works. I might help with moving slides if that's okay. There we are. Okay, so just a little bit about us. My family, or my father, programs that were taking place in the Zambezi, and the intention wasn't to have elephants as pets or to actually have elephants doing actions or any of this research we're doing. The idea was actually to release elephants
John, please unmute yourself.
We seem to have lost Sean.
There we go.
Oh, he's back again.
I'm back again. Signal is extremely poor out here in the middle of nowhere. So if I come and go, I apologize. I'm not even sure how far we got, but just going back to the inspiration behind what we do. We got our first elephants in 1988, and yeah, basically the idea was to just release them onto our game farm so we could grow up learning about elephants and other animals as a family. First elephants were delivered. Instead of them sending us big elephants from the culling operations that were taking place, we got offered 2 elephants that were 49 inches tall. So we had to sort of take them in, put them into a stable. We actually looked after them with our horses and realized that there was a little bit more to them. Within a few weeks, as you've seen at most orphanages, the elephants started to react to their names, basic commands. They started to follow their keepers around, and that's how it all, began. Since then, we've actually obtained more and more problem elephants and orphaned elephants from around Africa. We came down to South Africa in 2002, and started down here when we lost our farms in Zimbabwe. But basically, the idea is to bring in problem elephants or elephants that are going to get culled, and then tame and train them, and then use them for educational and research and all of that. So, yeah, our basic mission today is to educate and then push as much research and conservation as we possibly can in our little area, and try and understand elephants more, and make an impact with the general public and the public. So that's John, do you know how to sorry, my system is very, very slow here. It's
okay.
It's terrible, and I'm trying to move.
Yeah, we have you on camera. We just can't see your presentation.
Oh, is it off as well?
Yeah. Do you want to try that? Do you want to try and share the screen again?
Sorry, guys, you're working with a totally inept, technically savvy person here. I way prefer the bush and my elephants than computers. So forgive me.
No problem. No problem.
I can't even. It's just thinking at the moment, which is always entertaining.
Or you can just keep going with that. It was entertaining chat anyway. The presentation, I'm sure, would add. But if you can't run it, quite happy just for you to keep talking.
Can you still see me? Because my screen has gone completely black now.
Now I can see you. We can see you, and we can hear you.
Okay. It's very disconcerting when I don't have oh my god. Right, I'll try and carry on a little bit. So we started, like I said, we've established a few destinations around South Africa. The intention is to, save elephants that are otherwise going to be culled. Use them for good, and very, very simply our aim. Here we go. Our mission is to basically also increase awareness about the conservation issues and that are facing wildlife and conservationists in a changing Africa. I'm sure all of you in Thailand and the Asian circle there understand that there's very little land available to wildlife. And interestingly enough, the same applies to us in South Africa. We have huge tracts of land, but although we've got big tracts of land, it's still only 5% of the land that wildlife once had. So it's normally the worst quality, and so wildlife is facing a huge impact today. We also, through our educational programs, are trying to inspire awe and joy, and most importantly, interest in the elephant. I'm a big believer in saying if somebody meets an elephant and actually gets to know their personalities, gets to see them and understand them, and actually interact with them, they're going to do a hell of a lot more to conserve them into the future than just watching them from afar or remotely removed from an animal. So from our point of view, we're very, very keen on that one. Excuse me, with hay fever. And then, we might sound like we sit on the fence a little bit in terms of wildlife and giving it values, but we're big believers in giving wildlife value. South Africa has a very different conservation model to other countries, and we've actually increased our wildlife population because people can benefit from wildlife. That the more places that go with this, the better it is for animals. If we can benefit from them in a whole host of manners, the better chance wildlife has in this world where the human population is just exploding and more and more pressure is being put on wildlife. So yeah, those are the sort of three key fundamentals to what we do, and we try and make sure that we can actually be here. And the idea is to teach people as much as we can about elephants. We reach about 15 to 20,000 people at just this facility. In South Africa, there's about 5 or 6 other facilities doing very similar work. And I think this has a huge impact on conservation in the country, although very little research has been done on that. So that's something that I would like to look at doing in the future. But our programs are very in-depth and shows, for want of a better word. We do believe in a full-on hands-on interaction, as you see in this image here. So the idea is to teach people everything we can about elephants from their anatomy, their behavior, everything that we've learned through our research programs, we want to impart to our guests. So this is a nice example. The handler here is showing guests the blood system behind the ear of an elephant, just how many, how the elephant cools down its body by pumping blood through its ears. We can show the people how soft that skin is. We can show them where the ear hole is located. We can indicate about our research on how well elephants hear and what we're doing in that field, and really get people to understand animals, and particularly in a very in-depth and intimate interaction. We limit the group sizes of our guests, bumping the elephants, and we're not trying to go for mass tourism or anything like that. We're trying to just do a great full-on educational experience. Yeah, go through it that way. Research-wise, we really push research from elephants, and we can use elephants to learn more about their wild counterparts, the better for conservation and for our wild elephants. And for our own elephants from humanity. So elephants are one of the most widely researched herd of elephants, or diversely researched herd of elephants in pretty much the world. We've studied everything from their scenting ability through to the soft robotics that we're talking about, the soft trunk and the hydrostat, welfare, skin, teeth, ivory, human-elephant conflict solutions, all of it. It keeps us really busy. It's nice because we're not doing the same thing on a daily basis. We're actually, doing lots of research. We stop doing activities with guests, and we'll block off sessions in order to be able to achieve this. So, yeah. We're not totally tourism oriented. Can get back as some of the past research. Been doing a lot of work on elephant communication with a variety of research all over the world, but Angela Folger-Stolworth has been doing a lot with us from Vienna. Encourage elephants for human-elephant conflict, to encourage elephants away from locations. He's understanding just how far they can communicate in terms of distance, looking at different types of rumbles so that we can understand their language. And something that I'm quite interested in, and I know Angela is too, is I think there's different dialects across Africa. So that's going to be, it's hugely interesting. As we do this research, we learn a lot more. We've done a lot of work with the US Army Research Office on elephant scent detection. And we've used the elephants to find explosives, 3D printed plastics, variety of explosives, RDX, PET, and TNT, and are actually looking at doing a whole COVID detection process just now with some universities in the States. So scent detection being a big one. US Army have research office have actually been working with Israel, and they've developed a mine detection device that is a lot more accurate than the current ones, than their what they call their fake noses, fake dog noses. So they've been using that in Israel quite successfully with that. So it's nice that we're saving human lives, as well as trying to understand the elephant's trunk and how it works better. A lot of work goes into human-elephant conflict, and trying to find pyramids, to trying chili pepper like that. What we've learned from it is that the elephants are ingenious. I don't think I have to explain that to this group of people. They find $1 million rewards. So what we've been able to do with our elephants is actually fast forward that process and then problem solve. So if an elephant finds a way of crossing, say, a bunch of pyramids that are there to prevent an elephant from crossing it, we can then learn that, so we can space out pyramids better, or we can adjust the different sizes in pyramids, or we can change the type of chilies that we use, and go from there. So we haven't only done chilies and pyramids. We've been working a lot on smart collars as well, for which is a system that we're looking at in terms of getting elephants to the researcher or the rangers to actually communicate to the elephant via its collar, and try and get the elephants to learn to move away from certain areas, so we can actually send a signal to the elephant. It can then play a speaker in an elephant's collar, and it can tell the elephant that that's a dangerous area, or that in the next 5 minutes you're going to get human pressure coming towards you, so you better move out of that place. That sort of thing. So we've worked a lot on smart collars. We're still a long way from getting that sorted, but it's exciting, and the elephants are actually reacting to it quite well, even with just vibrations and with sound. We've put systems across our property here, where we've been using low Raspberry Pi sensors and very simple computers and seismic monitoring systems to look at low-cost elephant detection systems for free-roaming elephants to place around villages, so that we can actually warn villagers before herds of elephants arrive to come and raid their crops. That's been pretty successful, but the distance that we were hoping to achieve was very, very minimal. We only managed to reach out to 200 odd meters to detect elephants from that distance. And then there was also a big problem with wind noise. So we're still working on those sorts of things. Angela has done lots of work on where elephants and how they produce their sound, that sort of stuff. It's been incredible to watch the 3D sound, or the cameras, and how they pick this all up. So that's been interesting to learn about how they produce their rumbles, where their rumbles come from, that side of things. We've done welfare studies, so foot pressures for elephants in zoos, and free roaming elephants, and we've compared the two with Olga Papan. I can't say her surname, it's way longer than I can get around, but it's been interesting because we can use our captive elephants that are in a natural setting to understand their foot pressures, and then try and help elephants that are in zoos and facilities, like the UK, where elephants are on soft muddy soil or on concrete, and try and improve their conditions like that. We've done a lot of work with Melissa Schmidt on how elephants choose their feed and where they go and feed, and then and the impact that has on vegetation. And from our point of view, we would like to see this helps with carrying capacities for reserves, and to help reserves understand how many elephants they can have on their property and the impact that those elephants are going to have on tree species and all of that. And yeah, other simple ones, just how elephants find water. Met with Adrian Schrader just the other day. They're still doing the paper, but it was really interesting to see that elephants can detect water from over 5 k's away, which for us is a very, very interesting thing. I would like to look at that in terms of elephant migration routes and things, which is, I guess, where we come on with the next one with our present research. So getting elephants. Yeah, so in terms of our present research, South Africa, we're trying to understand elephant DNA and any breeding issues. If you look at the country as it stands, most of our elephants have been have started within Kruger National Park, and as they culled in the 1970s and 80s, they would then take the young elephants and re-establish a population somewhere else. Those populations have all doubled and increased, and we're very concerned about inbreeding issues. We've noted an increase in infanticide, and I think a lot of that is to do with the elephants realizing that they are inbreeding and they're killing off calves that aren't healthy. Further to that, we want to have a database, which we're working on a database which we feel is left of bang. So before poaching really takes off in South Africa, we want to know that most of our elephants in South Africa have actually been DNA analyzed, and anyone found with that ivory, you know, in a leak and it's tested, can always be linked back to these elephants here. So hopefully it stops the drive from the illegal market, because ivory from South Africa will be really hot in terms of DNA and being able to, you know, link elephants to a poaching scene. We're working on human-elephant corridors. So we're working on an elephant migration route. We're trying to see if we can establish more land for elephants to roam onto. And so with our elephant corridors, we've working with auto gates, where elephants will approach a gate. The gate detects an elephant through a special camera. And then as the elephant gets to the gate, it opens and it allows the elephant through. And we're using infrasound to actually call the elephants or let them know that that gate is available to be opened. The idea behind that is to give elephants more space. We have a law in South Africa where elephants can't be on any piece of land that's 8,000 hectares or below. But what we're trying to do is allow elephants onto a property during the night, and then in the early morning, give them another acoustic signal and attract them back to their property of origin, so that we can actually let elephants utilize an area and then move back into their safe zone, for want of a better word. So working on that. Just in our area, we've got one reserve that's 8,000 hectares. If this gate is implemented, we'll actually give those elephants over 20,000 hectares of land to be able to roam and utilize, and hopefully also reduce the human-elephant conflict by elephants breaking fences and that sort of thing. Auto feeders, we're working on, excuse me, with the fly. Auto feeders, we've got a project going where we are trying to make auto feeders for captive elephants in very captive scenarios, zoos or the likes of that. And these auto feeders, the same principle applies with the camera, but we want to get elephants to be able to move from one part of their enclosure to another, and really encourage them to utilize that whole area. So the auto feeder will also emit an acoustic sound, which is trained to a specific elephant. The elephant then goes to that feeder. The camera identifies the elephant. It issues the elephant food, and we're able to then do the same with the other elephants in the enclosure to keep them apart and try and just get them utilizing their area, and actually, yeah, just get some enrichment into the area. Another project that we're currently busy with is how elephants assess economic risk. Now, I think a lot of you might find this one very interesting, but it's a project that's going on with university in South Africa here and a couple of universities in the States. And the idea behind that is just to see if elephants can actually understand economic risk from a lottery point of view, and if they can make decisions based on sound, on whether they're going to get a big reward or a small reward based from sound and the environment that they are learning in. So it's quite an interesting one. It'll really show how intelligent elephants are, and I think a whole bunch of other research projects will come from this to just see how studies continue. They've been put on Angela and Skip and Lesa from the States over COVID, but we'll have Angela come out again towards the end of the month for communication studies and hearing studies. Starting a project with the Sri Lankan Wildlife Conservation Association, and are trying to look at green oranges for African elephants. So if African elephants like and then if that works and our elephants don't like it, then we can plant these green oranges around orchards in South Africa, with the idea that that will be a protective barrier from elephants raiding orange orchards. And we're also finishing off a study now on how elephants choose their food from an environment, a wild environment where they can see a whole bunch of trees. And we're trying to see if elephants understand that a tree is a very full tree, and are they choosing because that tree looks big, or are they choosing specific trees in the environment that they prefer? Okay. So from there, we also do a lot of conservation work. We are very big into bringing disadvantaged groups out to meet the elephant. You'll be surprised at how many local South Africans, both privileged and disadvantaged, have never seen an elephant in the wild, never seen an elephant in a zoo. And so we open up our doors to allow these students to come and meet an elephant. Most students see an elephant as a scary thing that must be avoided at all costs. And we just trying to show them that there's a lot more to elephants they have probably heard or meets the eye. We also have collared some wild dogs. They're very rare animals, and we have some collared dogs that are running around in the Waterberg with the intention of monitoring these dogs, and then allowing us to be able to assist farmers and people who have the wild dogs on the properties to protect them, but also to monitor where the dogs are going and how they utilize the areas. We do a lot of work on communities for solar panels. We're trying to assist rural communities with power issues. So instead of them having paraffin lamps or cooking fires, we're trying to get solar panels in them. We've spent millions of rand just upgrading communities and helping communities from a lighting point of view. We do vegetable gardens. We've got sewing machines where people can, fix their own clothes and make sanitary pads for women in communal areas, and that sort of stuff. So so there's a lot of community projects that we're actually involved in. We're even part of the community policing and anti-poaching initiatives in the area, and are heavily involved in that. Any issue in our area, we're one of the first organizations to be called out to assist. That brings us onto our side in terms of anti-poaching and conservation. We have aircraft like this one pictured. It's a Bathhawk. It's a really nice little low and slow aircraft. We're able to serve a huge community and a wide area. It's very, very cheap to run at 1,000 Rand an hour, as opposed to 6,000 Rand for a helicopter. And we use it for all sorts of cases, from poaching to fires to finding lost rhino or injured wildlife, dehorning programs, you name it. We're busy with that. So this is a very active little aircraft, but it's also been very positive for our area. We've actually reduced poaching and crime in the area by a very significant margin since implementing this little aircraft. And then I guess that's it. I've actually got guests and people starting to arrive. So I've got a few moments for some questions, and hopefully we can go from there. But that's it. John, I don't know if you're still there or not.
I am still here. Thank you very much, Sean. Fantastic. Actually,
I'm sorry. There's a lot to get through.
No problem. No problem. List. Actually, a couple of things on there that are fascinating, or everything fascinating, but things that really the smart collars. How they're obviously attached to the elephant as a collar. And do you have different vibrations that mean different things that you train in through positive reinforcement? Or, so it just vibrates differently, and the elephant knows that means something's going to happen.
Yes, so that's the idea. So the long and short of it is what we've done is we've through geofencing, we've demarcated certain zones, and as an elephant enters a zone, you get a vibration go off in the collar. What we're trying to do is vary the type of vibration. So sometimes it might be a or sometimes does that make sense? And so it's never the same. And then we have two vibrations on either side of the elephant. So if this one goes off, then the idea is that it would actually move away from that vibration or that tickle, and that way we can try and guide them out of that area. So as soon as the elephant, it is actually based on pressure release. So as soon as the elephant moves away from the area, then the vibrations stop, and or the sound stops, and that's sort of the pressure release. But as the elephant turns back, then the collar turns on again and applies those vibrations. So it's been successful. What we've actually found is the elephants, although the vibrations and everything happen, they quickly learn that it's actually just vibrations and sound, and it's not hurting them or doing anything like that. So they actually learn to take advantage and take the next step and the next step. So we're still trying to figure out how we can couple that with a negative reinforcement or negative experience of some descriptions. So we're hoping that's where training a village to come out. The elephant gets the vibration, but he knows that I'm in the area, and in the next 10 minutes, the community are going to wake up and start chasing me. So I'm going to get out of the area anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't need to, if the negative thing starts happening, as long as you're getting the stimulus at the right time. If the negative thing happens shortly afterwards, then that's and it all happens. It's just a pre-warning. That's a genius idea. And the other one that I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
Was having a gate, or issuing the sound to let the elephants know where the gate is, if you see what I mean, for wild elephants. That's so often you hear of people building corridors, but the elephants don't know the way through them. How did you go about choosing the sound to attract the elephant? Was that, again, a trained thing, or something that could be used for wild elephants, something intrinsic?
So what we've done is we've started with just a siren, just a normal siren, and we know that can reach out a certain distance. And the idea is, so what we've got is basically what we call a training area. So we put up one of these fences. It's a 4-hectare block with the electric fence, and then inside it's got a gate, one of these auto gates. And then the idea is we leave the gate open, but put some food in that area to so that they get used to that siren meaning positive, positive, positive. And then what we start close the gate. And as the elephants get to the gate, then we play the siren. So the elephants associate the gate with the siren and moving through. And then we actually start to reduce the food on the other side. So it becomes an opportunity for the elephants to, use the gate, open the gate and come in. And then we have a different sound on the reverse. So we do want elephants to know that exactly along the same lines as the collar, that this sound means in the next half an hour, people are going to start hassling me and I'm going to move out. So that idea comes from elephants moving into communal areas. We've from experience in the Zambezi and places like that. Elephants will at nighttime enter an area, utilize an area that's got human population or human pressure, but then get out of that area before the sun is up, so that their risk is unity to say, listen guys, here's the alarm, and you have an opportunity to move out of the area. When we've had issues with elephants breaking through our fences, wild elephants breaking through our fences, our initial buckies chasing on through the bush at nighttime, that sort of stuff. And it only resulted in our fence being broken in 2 different areas. When we started to just push them back gently and let them know that we were in the area, they would actually move back out of the reserve on their own, and they would then utilize the same entrance point. And so from that experience, we've decided to implement this gate and try that.
Great idea. Okay, here we go. Nisa, our vet, has a question about your about the foot pressure work. Is it true there is less pressure when elephants work on natural substrate? Does that work with sand? Is her question. So I don't know quite what your experiment.
So there's the same amount of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the same amount of pressure, but we were just trying to look at what part of the elephant's foot is actually applying, where the pressure is applied through. And the idea was to have uneven substrate so that the pressure is always changing, and it's not always on a flat, hard concrete surface moving through one point of the foot to the other point of the foot. As an elephant walks, they all have different gaits. So you have a different impact point and a different toe point. And so we were just looking at that to see if we could adjust ground and that sort of thing for elephants, so that they, in a zoo, they would actually have different pressure points pressured and be able to manipulate their feet a bit more to allow the bones in their feet, the opportunity to move and not just the same place the whole time on concrete, basically.
So it was about, I guess, the importance of having different substrates for them to walk on and uneven ground, if you like.
That's it. Just uneven, even normal sort of flat sand and a flat concrete, but the same thing. They're still standing on if the elephant's compact on sand, it's still a hard area, and it depends as well if that sand is very soft or if it's been allowed to get hard over time. So that research was really to look at just uneven ground rather than just flat substrates.
Brilliant, thank you. Are there any other questions, Veronica, or do you have some? I hear Veronica unmute herself. Go, Veronica.
Plenty. Thank you, Sean. It was an amazing talk. I mean, it just blows my mind how much work you do, and it will have a great impact, of course, on solving human-elephant problems. I think it's amazing. I was wondering 2 things. One thing about the research, because you said that you were trying to do an automatic detection system. Is this based on vibration on the ground, or actually on the low frequency vocalizations?
both of them. So we had a seismic sensor in the ground, and then versus elephant communication through the air. And so the intention was to look at both options to give a village the best opportunity there was. And like we found, obviously, like everyone else has found, sound in the air. It's a very busy space. You've got lots of wind, you've got vehicles, you've got all of that sort of thing. And interestingly, so ground, you've still got vehicles driving along tar roads, you hear vibrations around, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, but it was a more clear communication channel to the sensors than through the air. It makes sense. So it didn't really pick up infrasound. It was just looking for normal sort of sound, normal elephant communication rumbles and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, thank
Veronica?
you. So, yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry, the connection is not.
No, I'm seeing internet connection unstable. So there we are. Wondering if you got that.
Yeah, I get most of it, but maybe I'll ask again. But just saying, it's so much cooler to have an elephant like walk through your video than a baby cat. It's amazing. And what I was always wondering, if it's okay to ask another question. I mean, since I was lucky enough to have visited your place and get to know your elephants, hearing that they have all been orphaned elephants or you know, being called problem elephants, it's just amazing what a beautiful herd you have there and how well functioning it is. How did this happen? I mean, were there ever any problems, or did the herd just grow naturally and they all become friends easily?
We may have lost him.
I'm sorry, too many questions.
Here we go.
Introduced from other places, and they get to know each other, and they sort themselves out. It's like
Now we really have lost him.
What a shame. Maybe I will stop my video so there's less pressure on the connection.
I think it's his connection that's the problem.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, it's really a beautiful place at Sean's, but it's really remote, so it's in the middle of nature, and yeah, I guess there's not much internet.
Oh, he's back. He's back. Hold on a second.
Hi, Sean.
Okay.
Hi, Sean. You're back.
The signal is shocking, and it comes and goes, and all the good things.
Okay. Well, I think we may
that we experienced. Sorry.
That's what I think we may call it quits then. Thank you very much, Sean. A fascinating lecture. We'll have to get you on sometime next time if you ever get into
just moving out one of our.
Okay. We've lost the picture as well now. It's like 1980s live news television for those of you old enough to remember such things. There are lags and all sorts of things going on. Anyway.
Sorry.
I think it's time to say thank you very much, Sean.
About the signal.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Thank you for a fascinating lecture. We'll catch you sometime when you've got better signal, okay. Maybe, and ask you to go again. There are so many points to explore and so many ways to go into some depth. So we may select a research project and ask you to talk about that specially. But in the meantime, thank you very much once again. a great presentation. Good to talk
no
to you.
problem.
Good to see African elephants, and good to know about some of the work that you're doing. So we will we'll be in contact and hopefully learn more as time goes on. Oh, gone again. Okay, bye, Sean. Thank you very much. Oh, elephants. We'll finish with elephants.